One. Hi, Sharon. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Well, I'm just so appreciative for the invitation, Nicole. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Can you give us the rundown of the nonprofits you're involved in and the work that you do?
I am on the board of the Lovemakers Foundation, and our mission is to bring people into a state of love, or they live in a state of love, which is kind of like my work with creating serenity now, which is my website,
Hmm.
because I help people that have trauma, which we all have, especially childhood trauma, that has
Hmm.
affected us in such a way that we have really poor belief systems. We live in a state of insecurity, lack of love, lack of trust. And I can actually simplify it so well, this perspective change, that if you grew up with a loving caregiver and a secure attachment as a child, when our nervous system is growing and myelinating and building, we come across the world as I'm loved, I'm wanted, I'm safe. I can be this kid in the play box. I can be playful and humorous. I can be kind to myself and others. I can be expansive. I'm connected. I'm whole. I'm happy. Or insecure, where I
Hmm.
spent my childhood, non-attached, nobody there for you. You have a nervous system that is elevated in a threat response. You see the world as I'm not loved, I'm not cared for, I'm not safe in this world. And I want a world of I'm loved, I'm cared for, I'm important, I matter.
Hmm. So now your work is you're a practitioner of both yoga and Reiki, and then you also have an emphasis on trauma and healing trauma. Um,
Yes.
so everybody kind of knows what yoga is. I honestly don't think I've ever had it described by a professional practitioner though. So could you kind of give us an intro on how you would explain yoga and how it heals, and then also do the same for Reiki?
So I'll do my best
Okay.
because as anybody, right, we have our own perspective.
Hmm.
For yoga, it's not what Western people think. It's just an exercise. For me, it's way deeper. It's the basics of who we are, and they call them koshas, but we have energy bodies. And, we are not just this physical being. We are physical, we are mental, we're emotional, we are breath, we are spirit, we are bliss. All these bodies connect us to our true authentic self, which we were talking about before we started.
Hmm.
And when we embrace and love ourselves, we get connected to sources and all that is. We feel vital energy coursing through us. We are living in well-being. And for yoga, the the asana part is just a small part of the 8 limbs of yoga that we try to, almost like the 10 commandments is a
Hmm.
portion, a couple of them, and breath and good living. But the asana part is, for me, we connect to this body, because this body, and in my work of somatic experiencing, this body always holds you in a space of trying to keep you safe. It can be unconscious neuroceptively in our autonomic nervous system. It can be in a felt sense, but this is when we really love this body for taking care of us and keeping us safe, and we connect to it deeply. Everything we feel is a part of who we are. And as Westerners, and the way we're socialized, or traumatized, we disconnect from all of who we really are, especially in the body. And yoga helps us find that body, and in a safe place too. So, and that's why I love yoga, because it's really brings us into our body, and it's a healthy form of exercise.
Yeah.
The Reiki, I really was drawn to 25 years ago because I'm strongly an energetic person. We all are. But I have always been driven or inspired or motivated by somebody's energy. And I like to be attracted by it. And I also like to to play with energy. And that's what the Reiki healing is about. And my whole course from my life has been about healing myself from my childhood trauma. So Reiki just was another aspect that I could connect with on a level that I really felt, because it's an energetic level that, again, some of us, especially that are way more empathetic and way more connected, can really feel those energies. And you don't have to feel these energies for it to be an effective way of healing, but it's bringing energy into somebody else's bodies, the koshas, or the, the energy bodies that I talked about. So it's just one of the many, many, many modalities that I have played with, practiced with, and continue to use in healing, my healing journey, and supporting others.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you talk about connectedness, because I think something that we, especially in the United States, see is we compartmentalize ourselves. You know, the you that's sitting with your best friend is different than the you that sits with your family, and that's different than the you that maybe goes to a 9-to-5 job. And we have all these different versions of ourselves, and I have to wonder what influence that plays on our overall happiness and health.
Mm. Yeah, that's kind of like the internal family systems. Is that something you, yeah. And that is the different selves. I think you're right. We have these different selves as coping strategies. Mm-hmm. These are the ways we kept ourselves safe, because we live in a world that we can be unsafe. And if we have been traumatized at all, our body is always living in this hyper-activated sense of threat. And these states of disconnect are places that we've found a part of ourselves that has been helpful, to support whatever we're feeling inside. And so, yeah, a lot of people have a lot of different ones, but when we become whole and connected and healed, when we become our authentic self and we can feel whatever feeling we want without an inner self coming to stop it, or to, and they stop it to keep you safe. Those inner parts, like I have this persona of my work, but this is just to keep me safe, so that I feel safe, because our entire body is always trying to keep us safe. It is the biggest motivator, is to feel good in your body. So yeah, these things are created by us to feel and be safe.
Yeah. So now, does trauma come into play when you're a child, you're young, you're maybe learning something, and someone reacts badly, and then it sticks very strongly with you that you can't do that, you can't be that, you have to change in reaction to their bad reaction? So when you talk about trauma and healing, are you finding ways to kind of undo that influence and get that person back to a healthier state, or who they would have been?
Wow, that's a great question. So trauma isn't an event. It's something that happens to us, and it's what we feel inside that's too overwhelming, too stimulating, too much, too violating, or many other things. It's too overwhelming for us. And when we have an event that's too overwhelming, doesn't matter how old or young you are, if it was too much and we weren't able to process the whole wave of emotion and complete it, it stays in our body, and it's trauma. And therefore, so when we have an event, we have an experience, and we have to come into a state of, this is too overwhelming. We compensate, and we stuff the pain, or we stuff the overwhelming, and we begin to learn how to look okay in this situation, even though internally I wasn't okay with the situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then trauma happens when we're going through it alone. So again, with a caregiver, and we aren't going to find that in school, we aren't going to find it on the playground. Usually we've just experienced something very painful, very hurtful, or whatever. And usually there will be no trauma if there's a caregiver that's brings their nervous system in, brings you in and says it's going to be okay. It teaches you to calm down. The heart space resonates 6 feet out. So their nervous system is holding your nervous system in this overwhelming pain, shame, humiliation, fear, whatever it is. And it's calming your nervous system down because you're not going through it alone. Because trauma happens when we're all alone trying to deal with it. We don't know how to cope with it, and it gets stuck in our body, unable to complete and finish. Where if a caregiver was there or a teacher or somebody, we could cry or sob or be angry or whatever and complete the emotion and let it be completed, removed, and it moves through our body because our bodies are energetic and they're meant to move emotions through. We don't stay up in joy all day long. Mm-hmm. We don't stay up in happiness all day long. And if we have an event that's painful, we feel it, let it go, and complete it. And when it doesn't complete, the body now has these chemicals and these energetic electrical stimulations and things inside. Every cell is resonating with the trauma, and it affects us physically, mentally, emotionally, on every level.
Yeah. So you mentioned 6 feet. So what kind of an influence do we have on each other? If 6 feet away, I can influence someone. Because, with the United States, I think our bubble, our personal space bubble is about 3 feet. So do we have a pretty strong influence over other people? No matter what emotion, if we're very, very happy or anything else, do we really have a big influence over others?
Yeah, you can change the course of a room. You can play with that. This heart space has already been detected 6 to 8 feet out. Many of us energetic light workers believe I can go anywhere with this. And I work with that when I'm helping people. So, but that space is where that energy, coherent, resonant energy, we bring that together and it just happens naturally. So as a parent, the best way you can be a resource and a help and for your child is to be calm, relaxed in what we call a parasympathetic state. And when that child comes in, no matter how upset or whatever, they are going to resonate with your energetic heart space and energy. And that's how we learn to build a good nervous system, a resilient nervous system that has capacity. And we learn that we can, survive and we can move through these feelings. And there's probably way more potential than 6 to 8 feet out, but that's what they can document scientifically.
That is a really cool concept, though. I'm definitely intrigued by it, but it also seems like there's a level of responsibility there. But yeah, I don't know. That's a very, very cool thing. I have to wonder if that influences how, when you first meet somebody and there's just a dynamic that's just wonderful. I got to wonder if there's some kind of synchronicity there or something that you don't realize, but I have to wonder if that's an influence on it.
Oh, totally. So the Polyvagal Theory by Stephen Porges will tell you that and this is the way I say it, and this is how I come about, but we are electromagnetic surveillance systems.
Okay.
This body was meant to keep you safe, and your brain and your nervous system. So in your body, in all your organs, there are all these sensories. In fact, they call the gut the second brain. There's more neuroreceptive capacity than there is up in this brain that we all think is so big and important. But the body is always sending 80 to 90% of the information it senses unconsciously, which is what you said. We aren't consciously aware of this, but our body, we walk in a room, we orient, we look for danger. Our body's already picked up on it. I can tell if somebody's just had a fight or if they're madly in love. My body senses it, sends up through the vagus nerve to my brain and says, oh, you're safe here. We can relax a little, or this isn't a safe place. Get the heck out. Because every animal but man, as soon as they sense danger and fear, they run, for safety. But not us.
Nope.
We stick around and whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. See, yeah, and I enjoy looking into this type of thing where there isn't, it's just it, to some level it's intangible. I know that there is some scientific evidence, but I love that there's just the mysteries of the body and the human connection. And I'm comfortable with it because I love it. And how we
Mhm.
relate to each other and how we can influence each other and be healing towards each other. Yeah, I think that stuff is very, very important. So,
I think we've lost it. I mean, our socialization, our systems have traumatized us. We've disconnected, but
mhm.
indigenous cultures and this also probably comes into the Ayurvedic Indian culture of thousands of years. We have so much capacity. We have so much possibility and abilities that we disconnect from that make us who we are. I mean, you couldn't go out there and live in nature if you weren't able to resonate with it.
Mhm.
Mm, and I love to resonate with nature, but most people probably think I'm crazy. But I love resonating with animals. Like I wish I had your cat with me right now because they will tell you if you're safe or not. They'll tell you, your energy, like, are you upset or whatever? Because they sense it. And we do the same exact thing, but most of us have disconnected or we ignore it.
So in nature, now that you mentioned that, do you do any kind of meditation, or how do you interact with nature and engage in it, and I guess enjoy it?
So personally, I go outside every morning and I hopefully watch the sunrise. I live in New Hampshire right now. It's been so cloudy for so long. I've made lots of meditations on my YouTube channel with the sunrise, and I guide you into breath or affirmations or some kind of meditative state because for me, when we get into the meditative state, we come down into a parasympathetic state where we're meant to be. We're relaxed. We're digesting food. We're nourishing ourselves. We have all these wonderful, connections and capacities, and we feel safe here. Because safety doesn't happen with a thought, I'm safe. Safety happens when the body senses there's no danger, and you're in a place where you feel safe around whatever, and your body relaxes. So meditation is like key priority for me. I do walking meditations. I'll do the meditation watching the sunrise. I go for a walk. I get into my body. I get into my breath. I do yoga. I do handstands and cartwheels, and I just connect with the trees and the air. And I'm grateful for the fresh air. And I have animals that like play with me. It's like,
Hmm.
they know, again, they know, nature knows when you're safe. And nature has this, the earth puts out an electromagnetic force, and it is so healing. That's why we say to put your feet or ground on the
Hmm.
earth, your feet without clothing on it will get that negative electronic, those negative ions cleanse us, bring us in a better state of clarity, which is why when you're at the beach or the mountains or whatever, you feel better because you're not only getting great oxygen, but you're getting the earth energy, and her energy can change your nervous system. And it's so healing.
So being present, very, very, very present. Yeah, I will
Yeah.
link I'll link your YouTube with your meditations when I post
Yeah,
this.
there's tons of help for people that are trying to feel better in their body. Uh, Lots of different things for help.
Yeah. So with the work you've done, which is incredible, and the people you've encountered, what at this point, what do you think means the most to you? I know that's a huge question, but I don't know what means the most to you.
I've always tried to help people heal, and it's it's a fabulous feeling. It's profound to help someone transform and feel better and do better and be so grateful. Um, and I feel like if we could all heal and be authentic and real, our our world that we live in wouldn't have the systems that corrupt and abuse and lie and steal and all the things that happen to us. because we would just be in such a healing, healthy state and in love with ourselves and all the rest of the world. And that's one of my dreams as well, is to live in, we call it heaven on earth. But we have to connect with ourselves first, and we have to know how to love ourselves before anyone else can love us. And we have to really be present, authentic, and care about ourselves. But when people move into those states with their healing, it's profound change, which just, there's not a feeling like it for me. It just inspires and motivates me.
So if someone's not familiar with yoga and Reiki, and they're just starting, what are some small things that they can do just to build some momentum and just to get started with reconnecting with themselves, focusing on the positivity and the love and the connection?
Well, I start with real basics, because we really need to make the connection with ourselves and start to honor and love who we are and what our body is telling us. So in my experience, I start to tell people to find this and set the alarm for every hour. And that's your opportunity to check in. And what am I noticing? How's my heart rate? How's my tension level? How's my breathing? How am I feeling in my body right now? We don't judge it. We don't try to stop it. We just notice it and notice how we're feeling. So once we become aware, things start changing, and our awareness starts bringing us into a better loving space with ourselves. And then practice getting into a relaxed, comfortable state. Practice meditation or whatever it is that you love doing, being out in nature. You asked me about things that people can do.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the best things you can do for yourself is to find those places when you can be in a parasympathetic state. That means, you're in your Zen world. Time is like no consequence. I'm just loving what I'm doing. I feel relaxed and open and playful and fun. And teach your nervous system to be in this place where we have well-being and ease, no disease. This is the state we're meant to thrive in. We have our own personal medicine person inside. If we can stay in this state and only rise up into these activated, guarded, armored states when we need to, and then we come back down. And trouble is, as humans, we're living up here in this state of unwellness and threat. Our whole body is, ready to fight. And if we can teach, and that's like anything, we teach the body by habit, come down, but be aware of how you're feeling, bring yourself down, use any tools that you can to get there, you will start changing so quickly when you start paying attention. And then you start getting deeper into your body and deeper into the messages that it's telling you. And any traumas and things, wounds that have been stuck, start to come up to be healed, because our body always wants us to be well. Homeostasis, perfect health, and it's going to, this innate wisdom, right? We're naturally going to heal when we allow that to happen. But we've learned as a society to stuff, repress, stop, or we never learned because the trauma started and we didn't have somebody to help us. So there can be big transformations happening with just so little attention and awareness.
Yeah, so that just once an hour checking in, seeing how you are, how you're feeling, what's there.
And then take some belly breaths, which I have a lot of on the YouTube channel, a lot of different breathing techniques, but I often will guide people in when I'm helping them heal, because when you start getting into these states, you have such a state change. It's almost out of body. You feel so much different and so much better. That's inspiring and motivating to say, oh, I could live in another place rather than up here in this state of unwellness. And so it's pretty profound and motivating to want to, get yourself feeling better. And sometimes we need some help on getting there. But once we find we can, start making use of it.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite questions. So where are you able to see love in the world that people probably don't even realize?
For me, I see love everywhere. I see everything as an opportunity to love, and I see everything as an opportunity to love. And it's interesting because I love animals. I've always resonated with them. They're safe for me. But people haven't been safe for me for a long time, but they have been, because I can separate, for me, I can separate the behavior as the ego and fear probably. And I know that there's a soul in there that just can thrive and be their best self and wants to be, its best self. And to me, I look at people now and I see them at their soul, that their deepest core, who they really want to be, who they could be if they didn't have all these beliefs and things that we've created to help us live in this world. So I just see love. I even see love in my inanimate objects. I've always loved my cars. I always talk to them like they're real. I had a car when I was young. Nobody could get it to start but me. And I would always talk with it. And because every matter, whether it's us or whatever, we're all made out of the same atoms in the same space and the same stuff. We all connect. So I also find when technology is making me mad, yet love it. Go back to loving it. Ask it to be nice to you. And guess what? Things start moving in the right direction when you put the emphasis and intention of love behind it. So for me, it is my intention every day.
Yeah, I talk to my car as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, okay, so this one's one of my favorite questions too. What's a dream that you just won't let go of?
Well, we already hit on that.
I know.
And that is a new world,
Mm-hmm.
a new age, when we all rise out of the patriarchal system and box that we have been stuffed into, thinking we are secure here. And we start being our true, authentic selves and loving selves. And we really could create a completely different environment, a completely different life and world. But it's going to take one at a time, right? And that is my actual goal, is to heal the world. And I see it. I mean, I live seeing what I want to happen, which is why I see each individual as the shining star that they really are deep in their soul. And I refuse to live in the confines of what we have built, because I see a different future. And that's where I'm heading and helping people move to as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So I suspect I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So where do you find strength?
Inside.
Mm-hmm.
Everything comes from inside. When you make the outside world important, your energy goes outside, your mental facilities, emotional facilities, they're all wasted on trying to change something that you can't change. You can only make a decision on what you think and how you behave. And when we go deep inside, we connect to all that is, and we get answers to things we know in our heart where we should proceed and where we should go. It's just a matter of deciding, do I trust myself? Do I love myself? And if I go deeply inside, all the answers are there.
Nice. So with the work that you've done, what are some of the things that, if someone's kind of like, I think I'm okay, but I'm not 100, we don't know what we don't know. So if someone's like, I think I'm okay, I'm not completely sure, what are some indications that someone might be able to see that should say, hey, maybe I should start doing some of this work. Maybe I should find a practitioner to help guide me with some of this. What What do you think?
Well, on my website is an ACEs quiz, Adverse Childhood Events. And this was created 25 years ago by Kaiser Permanente because they recognized how people that had adverse childhood events didn't have the longevity. They weren't able to lose the weight. They have a lot of illnesses. And so there's like 10 questions about your childhood. And depending on how high you score, you've probably been really affected, but you don't know it because you've been living in these behaviors you've created, maladaptive behaviors to feel safe. But what really happens for people, they don't necessarily have to do the ACE score, but we find out that these behaviors we've done, which could be OCD, right? Compulsion, perfectionism. I've done probably all of them. That these just ways to feel safer in our world, creating these personalities and personas, they start to not work, and they start to wear you down, and they start to make you ill, and they just stop working in a period of time. And that's when people think, oh, I've done this my whole life, but it's not working anymore. And that's like the signal of, hey, this isn't working. I need to do it more, which lots of people do. And they go into this destructive downward circle. Or maybe there's a better way. Maybe there's a higher way. Maybe there's something else I can do. Look outside of the box and see if what you've been doing, thinking, feeling isn't working, get out of it and try something new. And I think a lot of people, especially come to me when they're fed up and they've tried medicine and they've tried this and they've tried that, and it's still not working because again, inside is what's creating this outside, and we need to just heal.
Yeah. So we talked about it a little bit with social media, devices, all that kind of thing. Have you discovered anything that feels like a healthier approach to it, when it's serving you, when it's not serving you?
I'm not really sure what your question is. Are we talking just social media?
Well, yeah, or digital influences. So nature recharges you, animals recharge you, authentic people that are positive recharge. But I know that with social media and some influences, it can be more stressful than recharging. So do you have any thoughts on that? I know that's a very open question.
Yeah, though I do have thoughts on it. We started with it. So when you really dive deep inside and you know who you truly are authentically, and the principles and the morals and the ethics that you decide are important to you and how you want to live. And for most people, that is, I need to be a priority. I need to love myself unconditionally. Your body gives you signals when you're not being authentic with yourself. I find myself getting on social media, and when I've had enough, I feel my whole body tense up. And that's when I know I've done too much. I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not having fun. Because really, when we're in this parasympathetic state, we're having fun. We're loving our life. And the happier we can be, the more the universe likes it. And if we find out we're not so happy on this, in fact, we got upset and angry and this and that, it's not serving you. And if you listen to your body, you'll start to feel, when you get angry, often there's this clenching in the stomach or chest, things tighten. If you're paying attention, again, with awareness, your body starts giving you these clues. Oh, this isn't really for me.
I love that. Yeah. So tune back into yourself, pay attention to how you're feeling. And yeah, because that's exactly what social media is. It's very influential, just the moment, the knee jerks.
It's meant to pull you away from your core self. It's meant to pull you in. And to me, it's a very dysfunctional system, which I don't get drawn into. Like I told you, I don't really watch too much TV, never have anything. I feel that dysfunction growing up in it. I feel like the political system I've never, ever agreed with. It's a dysfunctional system meant to pull my emotional strings. And I want to be in charge of my emotional strings, my thoughts, the way I feel. Nobody else can change that unless I let them. And that means I have to get drawn into it. And so I'm really aware of that and always have been. I won't let that energy draw me away.
That is such a great concept. Yeah. So basically, spend your time and your energy on things that make you happy, make you whole, make you complete, connect you with the things you want to be connected to, not distract you from the things you.
And every 2-year-old will tell you that, hey, I'm busy playing. Leave me alone. I don't want to do that, right? It's like we know. And again, the world and the systems tell us something different. But we know inside who we are, what thrills us, what we love, what we're passionate about. Ask anybody, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite this? We all know it's inherent. It's all here. It's inherent. It's natural, innate wisdom. We've just learned to shut it down because the world might not like it.
Authenticity. Very, very, very important.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I will absolutely post your YouTube with the meditations. I'm so glad you actually mentioned that. So those are available. And yeah, this has been a great conversation.
I've really enjoyed it, and I'm thrilled to connect with you. And anytime, I'm happy to speak with you. And I hope the listeners found some value in this and maybe rang a bell somewhere inside, some little part saying, oh, I can maybe be healthier.
I think you discussing spending time with the things that serve you, spending time with the things that you connect with, and not getting distracted and taken away. I hope that gives some people permission to spend the time on the things they love.
Yes. Yes, I hope so too.
Yeah.